I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. My friends, I'll say it clear. I state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full and traveled each and every highway. But more, much more than this, I did it my yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. And today, well, no, it's not today. It is today, but what am I looking for? Let me open up the YouTube window so I can see what's going on over there. Let me hear myself. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Levels are good. Yes, Scotty. I have to give you guys a little serenade on the way in. It's Boxing Talk with Raphie. What is it? Where are we? 63. Boxing Talk with Raphie, episode 63. And first things first, can you hear the music? Can you hear the music? I wouldn't want to leave you without the music. I don't want to be selfish. Get back to me in the chat. Let me know. And smash the like button on your way in. Got a packed show for you tonight. Excellente. Okay, the music is audible. That's good. Okay. So, where are we? Okay, so tonight, what's on the agenda? We will be talking about, we're going to talk about the Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz in the UFC. We'll be talking about Jorge Masvidal's desire to face Conor McGregor for the BMF belt, the Bad Mofo belt. We'll be talking about Martin Bakole, who fought on the weekend. We will be talking about is that even in the description box? No, it's not in the description box, but very importantly, we will be talking about Dillian White and Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder in their situation there with the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, and his latest announcement about who is mandatory for Deontay Wilder. So, and of course, how could I forget? How remiss of me. Of course, we're going to be talking about the topic of the moment, the hot topic. Of course, we're going to fit it in. Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev. People are doing a nut. People are doing their nothing about the fight over the weekend. The Alvarez versus Kovalev. Canelo versus Kovalev. People are losing their minds. So we're going to have to talk about that. We're going to have to dissect that. We're going to have to get into that. Crazy, crazy, crazy things happening. It's madness, I tell you. Madness. But I think first of all, we're going to touch on the UFC over the weekend. Let me get some graphics up. Okay. Uno momento. Where are we? Have I closed it down? That's okay. We can share. We can share. So, hold on a second. Let me start sharing. Let me share my screen. Okay. Should be sharing now. Let's get to the relevant page. So we're talking about Darren Till, UFC. Okay, there we are. So let me get my pad up so I can see if you can see what I can see. Okay, so Darren Till over the weekend fought Kevin Gastelum in the UFC. And it was an important one. It was an important one because Darren Till had just lost to Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal, who just fought on the weekend also. So as you know, and previous to that, Darren Till, British UFC fighter, had lost to Tyrone Woodley. So that was 2 wins, 2 losses, back to back, for a guy who was touted to be the next welterweight champion. And it wasn't a good look. So it was very important that Darren Till secured the victory. Otherwise, he would have been down 3-0 in his last 3 fights. That would not have been a good look at all. But as it played out, Darren Till got a points decision. There's Kevin Gastelum. Darren Till got a points decision over Kevin Gastelum. A highly regarded fighter, high caliber fighter. So it was a relief. It was a relief for Darren Till to secure the victory after getting knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, who we see here. So that was a good showing for Darren Till. Okay. Shout out to the chat. Roll call, early roll call. We have Scott 70. The red gloved militant. I haven't seen the red gloved militant around these parts for a while. Good to have you back in the chat, red gloved militant. Indeed, smash that like button. Who else we got? John Dealey in the building. Okay. And so, yeah, congratulations to Darren Till, British fighter, English fighter, back to winning ways. Congratulations to him. There we see him. Versus Kevin Gastelum. Okay. And then we move on to, might as well get the UFC stuff done first. We move on to Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. Also on the same card. What was that? UFC 24? I think that was UFC. Yeah, UFC 44. Excuse me. Okay. So, as we know, Nate Diaz on the right of your screen. Is he on the screen yet? Nate Diaz on the right of your screen. Mexican descent, Mexican American. Brother of Nick Diaz. Famous jiu-jitsu brothers. Picked up boxing to round out the game. And are known to do triathlons. Just for the fun of it. Always come with that cardio. Okay. That's on the right. And Jorge Masvidal. Cuban descent. Cuban American. Okay. So a belt was created. A belt was created called the BMF. The BMF belt. What does that stand for? Bad Mother. The Bad Mother belt. Okay. Saturday, November the 2nd, just gone. New York City. So this was for the Bad Mother belt. And both of them crowd favorites. Both of them not really one to follow rules. They're the renegades of the UFC. And yeah, there we see the Rock in the background. That's the Rock in the background when you see him, if you can see him. Okay, so he's holding the newly created belt, the Bad Mother belt. Okay, so Nate Diaz, jiu-jitsu, boxing. Jorge Masvidal, you will first have seen him, if you recognize the face, you will have first have seen him in Kimbo Slice's backyard. That's right. He was, that's when he first came to notoriety, in Kimbo Slice's backyard fights. Kimbo Slice's backyard fights. Hold on. Let me check where I am. Okay. So, yeah, we're back. We're back. Okay. So, there's a question of who was going to win. They both are good grapplers and very good strikers. But I had to give the edge to Jorge Masvidal. He had knocked out, if you see my video at the time, he had knocked out a wrestler. What's the damn guy's name? What's the wrestler's name who's never lost? I can see him now with it. Askren. Ben Askren. A wrestler who had never lost, got people to the ground and grappled the living out of them. Couldn't get up against Ben Askren. Jorge Masvidal, walked up to him, then took a little run, and then took a leap, flying knee, the first piece of action of the fight. And Jorge Masvidal had rendered Ben Askren, the unbeaten Ben Askren, unconscious. So he had a nice little run. He's had a nice little run of wins. This is at the welterweight level, welterweight division. And I had to give the edge to Jorge Masvidal. Although both are favorites of mine. Okay, so Jorge Masvidal controlled the striking in the opening stanza, catching Nate Diaz, as we see there in the picture, and dropping him with a vicious combination. I think it was a right, left, drop to the ground, and finished off the combination with a kick to the face. Kick to the face as Nate Diaz was leaning forward. That dropped him in the first round. He got up. I think he got cut in the first round. He got up, stunned Jorge Masvidal in the second, in the latter part of the round. And then that was the start of the second round. Made it to the second round, stunned Jorge Masvidal. And then it was just a back and forth. Each guy landing 1, 2 punches, 3 punch with a kick combo. And what was proving successful for Jorge was the kicks, the body kicks. I think he dropped Nate Diaz with another body kick combo, followed by a body kick in the second round also. And then they went into the third, where I gave that, it was combination for combination, combination for combination all the way through the third. And I gave that round to Nate Diaz, even though Jorge Masvidal finished strong. But at the end of the third round, the referee came and checked the cuts. Not the referee, the doctor. The doctor came and checked the cuts. Don't know if you can see it clearly there, but there's one over the brow, Tyson Fury-esque over the brow, and one on the cheekbone. Nate Diaz said he was good. He could see. It's fine. I can see. But as the doctor walked away, he indicated to the judge that the fight was over. The gashes were too deep. The gashes were too deep. And so the fight was called off, with Jorge Masvidal here being pronounced the winner and receiving the brand new BMF belt. And you may not recognize the guy standing next to him, but that's none other than Roberto Duran, Hands of Stone. Okay, so is there anything else? Was there anything else I wanted to mention about the UFC? Oh, interestingly, it was because of this fight, because of this bout that had the DAZN card. People had to wait for like an hour and a half for Canelo and Kovalev to come out. Canelo and Kovalev was kept waiting in their dressing room for something like an hour to an hour and a half, waiting to come out. And it was because of this main event here. So the UFC boxing, DAZN, chose to not go head to head with a UFC main card for not even a legitimate belt. This was some made up belt. This was a crowd pleasing belt. The BMF. Madness, I tell you. Complete and utter madness. They're talking about running it back, but we don't know how that's going to work out. We don't know because Masvidal is looking at Conor McGregor. Likes the idea of Conor McGregor, another welterweight. But the question is, will Conor McGregor want anything to do with, I'll drop the link in the chat in a second. I forgot to do it. Will Conor McGregor want anything to do with the well-rounded Jorge Masvidal? That's the question. Oh, sorry. And here is Ben Askren. Here is Ben Askren. One leg up in the air from the flying knee. Oh, we have the flying knee from the flying knee of Jorge Masvidal. And here is Jorge in transit. Can we get a better angle? That's another angle, not necessarily better. And Askren, as he is going for the takedown. Look at the arms. Look at the arms there, stretching out for the takedown. Millisecond later, it's crumbled to the ground, crumbling to the ground. Crumpled zone. Finished him off with a right hook, but I think Ben Askren was already out. Outie. Referee and doctor rush in. Game over. And The Rock was in attendance. He was actually the one who wrapped the BMF belt around the waist of Jorge Masvidal. Okay, so that kind of wraps up our UFC coverage for now. Although I think we might touch on another topic. There's another topic outstanding that we may touch on later. Okay, so that was the UFC stuff. Let me stop sharing. Get back into the chat, see what's going on, and drop the link in. Let me drop the link in. Let's see who is in here. Who is in the building? Okay. Let me get a little bit of FaceTime. Yeah, a bit of FaceTime. That's good. Oh, no. Let me just kill this. What's that? Let me kill that. Get rid of that. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Before I continue, let's get into the chat before we move on to the boxing. Yes. For those who missed the beginning, it was a beautiful rendition of My Way, popularized by Frank Sinatra, or Blue Eyes, revitalized by my good self. So that's Scott 70, red gloved militant. I always think it should be the red glove militant. Good to have you in the chat. Haven't seen you in a while. The John D. Lee. The big boys boxing in the building. Went to see him the other day. Went to see him yesterday. He didn't notice me. Didn't even notice me. I was there. Mate. I was there in dark mode. You didn't notice me. We had enough people on with you, so I just kind of slipped out. And I was tired. I was shattered from staying up so late to see the card. The Kovalev card. We're going to get into that. We're going to get all up into that. Yes, indeed. Smash that like button, folks. Smash the like button on entry. On entry. Okay, so who's this? Peligroso. Peligroso says that anyone that really knows MMA knew that Masvidal was going to win. Masvidal is far and away a more well-rounded fighter. Indeed, Masvidal is indeed a far more well-rounded fighter, but you know, submissions are submissions. Diaz gets him on the ground. Diaz can submit people. Jiu-jitsu specialist, Gracie Jiu-jitsu specialist. So it was in no way a foregone conclusion. It was in no way a foregone conclusion that Jorge Masvidal was going to win. He was my favorite. He was my pick. But it was not in any way a foregone conclusion. Peligroso. Okay. What else is going on? What else is going on? Don't think they planned on the Garcia fight finishing so quickly, says Scott 70. Big boys boxing in the building. How do you do?
Not too bad, brother. And yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. I'm not tired anymore. Stayed up too late watching that interesting fight, Kovalev and Canelo. We're gonna get into that shortly, but first of all, let me just get through this. Scroll through the chat. Okay, Kieran Betts. How do you do? And as far as Scott 70, yeah, I don't think they planned on the Garcia fight before planning on the Garcia fight finishing so quickly. Yeah, well, I understand that, but still, there was something like an hour and a half wait before they got into the ring. So clearly, and they were showing the main event on the UFC 244 card on the big screens in the auditorium. So clearly it was designed that they were not going to go head to head. They weren't going to put the boxing head to head with the UFC. My, how things have changed. It was only like 15 years ago when the UFC really started. It was like 15 years ago. Where are we now? 19? Yeah, about 15 years ago. Started a couple of years before that, but it came to my attention about 2 years later. About a year or two after it had started. About a year or two. Yeah, probably two. And to see how it has grown, where they've got a pound for pound guy and another highly accomplished guy in the main event. And the boxing, they're saying, no, we don't want to go head to head with the UFC. How bizarre, but we're going to get into that shortly. Kieran Betts, haven't seen Kieran Betts in a while. Good to have you in the chat. Another one I haven't seen in a few weeks, Joe 56984. It's like a family reunion. What's going on? This is good. Okay, what does Joe say? ESPN, Dan Rafael reporting that Oscar De La Hoya has reached out to Arthur Beterbiev about a possible Canelo fight. Well, hey, we're going to have to touch on that. We're going to have to touch on that shortly. No problem, big boys boxing. I was knackered anyway, to be honest with you, so I just slipped away, ghosted. I went ghost mode. I went ghost. Well, I don't know MMA. I don't, says Red Glove Militant. That's okay. We're just touching on it. Peligroso. Masvidal defended against the best grappler in MMA in Demian Mia to a split decision. Nate's Jiu-Jitsu is not a threat to George. Jiu-Jitsu is always a threat, my friend. Jiu-Jitsu is always a threat. But yeah, Demian Mia knows his stuff. He certainly does. Demian Mia. Who won that fight? I think Damian Maia won that fight, did he not? Damian Maia won the fight against Jorge Masvidal. Is that correct? Am I correct in my memory? Is my memory correct? Peligroso. Okay, I support Dan's, but I'm not down for making the subs wait so the UFC fight can finish first. It's madness, I tell you, madness. I suspect there will be trouble for the zone showing an ESP PPV event on a big screen at the Dan's event. You see, I don't think so. You see, I think Dan's are professional enough to know that they need certain licenses to do that. Woe be unto the man who did that on a whim without getting the correct license first. There are licenses to be had for such eventualities, and I would, if I had to take a bet, I would bet that the zone had crossed their T's and dotted their I's. So if it was premeditated, then they would have known. Even the layman knows that you need a license for that kind of shizzle. So I'm pretty confident they would have had the relevant license. I'm confident, but not sure. Okay, so the UFC is celebrating their 25th and 25. 25, good God. Good God, 25. Good Lord. New sub. Okay, don't like the dental work there. Okay, interesting. Right. Yeah, Damian Maia won by split decision. I thought so. I remember that being a good fight, but I can't remember every aspect of it. I should go back and watch that because I remember that was a good one. I remember that as being a good one. Big boys boxing.
Yo.
Yes. Okay, so I think we've concluded the MMA section. And now we're gonna, where are you? What's the timing saying? Okay, half an hour. Okay, we had half an hour of MMA talk, all well and good. 25 years of UFC, 25 years big boys boxing. When did you become aware of it?
Wow, that's a good question. I've sort of been aware of it for at least a decade.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 years tops.
Yeah.
I kind of became more interested in it when our Kiwi boy Mark Hunt got more involved with it.
Mark Hunt, the legendary kickboxer Mark Hunt. Yeah, he's a special one. He was a special one. He looked like a roly-poly.
Yeah.
He looked like a roly-poly, but you could kick that dude in the head all till the cows come home. And he just stand there and smile at you.
Yeah, then knock you up, turn you back, and walk away.
Mark Hunt, he was a special one. Then he got in some issues with Dana White of the UFC. Over the what was it? Who's that big Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
Brock Lesnar
stuff.
Yeah, because Brock Lesnar popped dirty. Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Look who we have in the chat. We don't have Don ZB, but we got BrooklynChild keeping an eye on us.
You hadn't said his name today.
Oh! I haven't called him Candyman. Yeah, so Mark Hunt got beef with well, I remember. Hold on. I remember the UFC 1. I had the VHS tape. I didn't know the UFC existed. I was at college. I was doing a course and got talking to this karate guy, and who was in one of my classes, the computer class, and he started talking about this thing, this event whereby all the different martial arts come together, and and they met in a cage. And they just fought it out, style versus style. It's changed now because everybody's got a blended style. But back then it was karate versus judo. It was jiu-jitsu versus boxing. It was literally style versus style. And I said, wow, this is crazy. You got to be kidding me. That doesn't exist. He says, it does. And he told me about this newspaper store that also did videos. Remember videos? they did videos. And I said, wow, they've got a video of this shizzle? He says, yeah. Sounded futuristic. It sounded unreal. So I said, damn, I'm going to go. And he wrote down the address of the news agents. It was a couple miles away from me. I went to the news agents. I signed up. And I think you had to wait a day before they sent you confirmed your address. So you had to wait for a letter. Went back a couple of days later and I got the damn video on VHS, and it was literally style versus style. It was crazy. Boxing Librarian live in the building. About time. I haven't seen you in a while, Boxing Librarian.
BL.
Yeah, what's up, BL? And so links in, I'll drop the link in the chat again, or you can just chill and enjoy. Either way, BL. So yeah, I got the tape and it was style versus style. It was like some humpback shizzle. Unbelievable. And it was at that exact time, probably about 15 years ago, I had to enroll to my first jiu-jitsu dojo. Had to do it. Search for it on the internet. It's the first sensible thing I ever did on the internet. Search for it on the internet. Found it. Found a wrestling place as well that was nearby. The jiu-jitsu place was about 15 miles away. The wrestling place was only 2 miles away. So I didn't both started them both at the same time. 15 years ago. But yeah, man, crazy. And look how far it's come now. It was underground back then, and now the UFC have got the boxing holding back their main event so the UFC can do their main event. How mad is that?
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Okay, so keep on forgetting not to show this guy's teeth. You need some dental work, my friend. Mr. Ayobota, you need some dental work. Okay, so from my understanding, when the UFC first started, it was very different. Maybe UFC as we know it, 15, but UFC was as a whole has been around much longer. Yeah. When the UFC started, yeah, it was style versus style. Style versus style. Now it's just everybody knows the style that works, and it's just a blend of the styles that work. Only name I know is Conor McGregor and Chuck Liddell. You wrote his Liddell. It's Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell.
Come on, you must have heard of Israel Adesanya.
Well, he's a new jack, isn't he? Israel's a new jack, so a lot of people probably still haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
I also know Brock Lesnar, but I know him from the WWE. Yeah, he was came over. UFC wasn't always in an octagon. The UFC has categorically always been in an octagon. There are different companies. For example, there was, what was it called? Pride. There was Pride. That was its big rival, and that was in Japan, and that was in a ring. And yeah, that was Pride.
I think the correct statement would be MMA isn't always in an octagon, not UFC.
Yeah.
UFC is a particular organization.
Yeah, that's 100%. UFC, a particular organization, has always been in the octagon. Back in the day, they couldn't decide on a name. The name that was popular back then was NHB, No Holds Barred. First of all, it was anything goes. Well, in Portuguese, where the whole thing started, in Brazil, where the whole thing started, it was called Vale Tudo. Vale Tudo, which means anything goes, roughly translated. But the phrase which stuck was No Holds Barred, NHB. I remember I had a car sticker, NHB, No Holds Barred. And then it switched to, there was a couple of names. What was after No Holds Barred? I can't remember. But anyway, they settled on MMA. That was years later, Mixed Martial Arts. Where are we in the chat? Bob Sapp, yeah, Bob Sapp fought in Pride. Bob Sapp, big, huge American footballer. Couldn't fight very well, but he was huge in dimensions. Matter of fact, it would be remiss of me not to bring up a picture of Bob Sapp. Where are we? Let me bring that screen over here and look for Bob Sapp. Let's get Bob Sapp up. Let's share the screen. Boom. Share. Let's go Bob Sapp. Sight worth seeing. Where are we? Where? Here he is. Here he is. Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp in all his glory. A humongous, ginormous man. Am I sharing yet? Can you see it yet?
Yep.
A ginormous individual. Where are we? Let's get that picture up. Yeah, Bob Sapp. Couldn't fight very well, but he was very popular in the Japanese market just for his size. He was absolutely humongous. But in Japan, they like the freak show aspect. As you can see here, this was Bob Sapp against Akibono, a Hawaiian descent sumo wrestler. Sumo wrestler of Hawaiian descent. And as you can see there, he was even bigger, but in a different kind of way. So there you have it. That was Bob Sapp. Okay, let's get back into the chat. Yeah. So, where are we? Maybe the zone were hoping to pick up a few subscribers spilling over from the UFC event. Maybe. Vale Tudo, indeed. Okay, so Brooklyn Child. Can always rely on Brooklyn Child. Always rely on Brooklyn Child. Yeah, Marco Ruas. We're gonna come. I was gonna come to that topic later, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to hold off. People want to talk about it, but first, yeah, Marco Ruas. He was one of my favorites. Marco Ruas, the Brazilian. Okay, just to finish off the history of mixed martial arts. Okay, so it came over from jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu comes from judo. It's the ground aspect of judo. A guy called Kimura, I think he was Kimura, a judo master, left from Japan, went over to Brazil and taught one of the Gracies, one of the Helio Gracie and his brothers, his form of Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Is that where the name of that move comes from? The Kimura?
Yeah. Kimura, absolutely. One of my favorite moves, the Kimura. It is actually one of my favorite moves. I love that move. I love the Kimura. The Kimura is basically when you twist it. It's a form of twisting someone's arm behind their back. It's a technique. Look it up, folks. If you don't know how it works, Google that shizzle. Not now. We're in the middle of something. So, yeah. So, Kimura taught the Gracies Japanese jiu-jitsu. The Gracies took the kind of formal moves and made them more practical and effective. And that was the birth of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He also taught the Machidas. The Machidas, there are also, or Machados. They're also a big family, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family. And so there are lineages. There are lineages in the jiu-jitsu camp. You know, you're taught by this family, you're taught by another family, you're taught by another. Yeah. So the Machados are also have a strong lineage, as well as the Gracies in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And yeah, so that's where the term Vale Tudo comes from. Anything goes, Brazil. And in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. So I think that brings us fully up to date. And then they had Anything Goes or Vale Tudo fights in Brazil for years before it went to America. So really, it's Brazil is the real home of what we know now as UFC. It's called Vale Tudo over there. And yeah, one of my first inspirations was Marco Ruas because he was different. He was a stand-up guy. He did his kickboxing in the stand-up phase, and he could get you to the ground and submit you, but he preferred to stand up. But if you took him down, he knew what to do down there. So he was one of the first complete fighters to make it over from Brazil into the UFC. Marco Ruas, king of the streets. Yeah, excellente. Okay. Yeah, Rampage Jackson in his Pride days was incredible. He was on his game. Quinton Rampage Jackson. But I don't think we can hold off any longer. I enjoy it. Yeah, I don't think we can hold off any longer. I thought we might leave this till later in the show, but people want to get to it now. People want to get to it now. Anderson Silva equals the GOAT. I must agree. Unfortunately, he had his little drug episodes. But a lot of them have drug episodes. You mean everybody you've named there? Anderson Silva, probably my all-time favorite. He had his drug episode, got busted. Jon Jones, he's got busted. Lyoto Machida, he got busted. BJ Penn, I don't think so. Yeah, so it's very unfortunate that the legacy got somewhat tarnished by his drug episodes, but c'est la vie. C'est la vie. So, okay, Big Boys Boxing. I think we're going to have to go straight into it. We're going to have to go in. Okay, the hot topic, the big bone of contention. There's a lot of wailing, gnashing of teeth about the Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev fight on Saturday. You wanna lead off on what you saw when you watched the fight, Big Boys Boxing? You want to lead off?
Yeah, no worries. Well, what I saw was a game plan from Canelo that pretty much said he was going to try and go for the KO later on. How inactive he was in the earlier rounds suggested to me that it was either far too difficult for him to get to Kovalev, or he was trying to use educated pressure to gas him out in the later rounds so he could tag him and put him down. I was quite disappointed in the performance of Kovalev, to be honest. I thought he would try and batter the body, batter the arms of Canelo to try and slow him down and make it hard after his arms have taken a beating to throw power punches later in the fight. But it seemed like Kovalev was a little bit worried about gassing himself out, throwing too many heavy shots. He hardly threw his right hand for the first half of the fight.
Yeah.
Little pitter-patter jabs rather than his stiff jab that he steps into all night. He didn't see much of that all night. So
right.
He got what was coming to him, and very well done to Canelo. It was a very good game plan against a much bigger man, and he got the belt. He got the legitimate win for me, and to me, there's no way in hell that was a setup. No way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, where's BrooklynChild? BrooklynChild, the link is in the chat. BrooklynChild, the link is in the chat. And also I'll take this time out before I give my thoughts. I share my thoughts. There have been this is a public announcement. There have been I've seen some activities in some of my videos of certain LDBC guys. Listen, guys, all you need to do is click the link and get in and express yourself. Yeah, it's all about expression. All you need to do, just like John Dealey just did, is click the link, which is in the chat, and come on in and express yourself. That goes to everybody. Yeah, all you do is click the link. It's not nothing mystical, my friend. It's not nothing mystical. You just click the link and open sesame. Hey, presto. That's how it works. Very simple. Gnashing of teeth. Okay, so John Dealey in the building. How do you do, John?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. I was a little bit tired. Had a hangover feeling from staying up so late on Saturday night. Watched the fight on Saturday night, and then I had some issues with my TV. It turns out my smart TV, which I just bought, is not so smart.
That's a bit unfortunate.
My smart TV turned out to fail the IQ test.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna have to take the damn thing back to the shop. I'm gonna have to disassemble the damn stand. It's only 5 screws on the bottom of it, but it's just the principle of having to disassemble something to put it back in the box and take it back to the shop. It's just one of those things. But unbelievably, I don't know where I put the receipt. Number one rule of shopping is for large.
Oh, Raphie, you need to get all your receipts emailed to you these days.
Well,
or take a photo of it.
That's smart. That's smart.
Whenever I buy any sort of electrical item over even 20 quid, they email me the receipt.
Email the receipt. I've never heard of that, but it's a great idea.
And then it's on your phone when you go back in.
It's a great idea. I have a kind of jar, kind of plastic jar tub where I put
have a drawer like that.
Yeah, where I put all my large purchases, the receipts for my large purchases. When open sesame, hey, abracadabra, it's not in there. I have no idea how I failed to comply with my own rule. But fortunately, I went down to the shop because I was at a loss to find out why it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And then we discussed it, and then we found out what the problem is. And the ladies in the shop, they didn't seem surprised. I mean, it's a major failure, but they didn't seem surprised. But whatever. I said, I don't know if I've still got the receipt. They said, have you got the box? I said, yeah, I still got the box. I had the foresight to keep the box. It's been a couple of months, but I don't really watch that much TV, so I don't really use it. So I didn't really know that there was a fault with it. Round the back, there's a fault round the back. But fortunately, I kept the box. And anyway, I could always get a bank statement because I buy everything on credit card. So I will have a copy of the.
You'll be covered one way or another.
I'll be covered one way or another. They said the box will be fine. I think
they must have scanned it anyway.
Yeah, they got the scanning barcode scanning on it, so they'll know exactly who they sold it to. They'll when they scan it, they know it was me. They'll have my name, my address, my bank card, my debit card details. So it's no problem. I got the box. I had the foresight to keep the box. So I'll take it down there sometime tomorrow, probably my lunchtime. I work just round the corner from the damn place. Pack the damn big ass thing in the car. And gotta know, they swap it, I suppose. I might get a bigger screen though. I thought the 43-inch was ample size, but I'm watching. I'm saying, you know what? Could maybe go up to a 50.
You can always manage a bit more.
Could always manage a bit more. I thought it'd be too big, but yeah, I'm thinking, you know what? It looks real good. But if it was a 50-inch, you know what I'm saying?
No, I can appreciate that all day long.
Maybe it'd be 10% better if it was 50-inch. So I think I've got room for the 50-inch in there. So we're gonna go for the 50-inch. So
why not?
So okay. Let me see if I can keep up with the chat. Okay, so what did you see? Did you watch the fight? I'm presuming you watched the fight. Okay.
Yeah, I watched the fight.
So what did you see, John D. Lee?
I was disappointed that Kovalev didn't put anything on any of his shots.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with throwing a high volume of jabs.
Right.
But I would have liked to have seen him either sit down on some of his jabs and make them stiff. Yeah. So Canelo didn't know what was coming exactly at him.
100.
Or put some hard rights in occasionally.
Yeah.
I think the game plan was to try and win on points.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Buddy McGirt said, if we get robbed on the cards, we don't care. Before the fight. And it looked...
If they get robbed on the cards?
Looked like he was a distance. A lot of people have said he was up, but I breaking through the guard enough to be winning the rounds. Yeah, a lot were getting caught, but a lot were getting through as well.
Yeah.
So for that reason,
okay,
I had Kovalev ahead of the knockout, which is a good knockout, and I don't think it was a dive.
Yeah. Well, what I saw was I saw Kovalev comprehensively boxing Canelo's ears off.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I thought part of the reason he wasn't sitting down on the shots is because he didn't want to get countered.
Yeah.
But I felt like Canelo was missing wildly for most of the fight.
Yeah. I want somebody to counter me. If somebody has a counter argument.
Well,
Kovalev.
I've seen a sensible counter argument.
Yeah, hold on. Kovalev was comprehensively outboxing Canelo.
I agree with that. But
yeah.
Go on.
Let big boys boxing jump in.
It depends what you like for scoring to a degree. Myself, I was looking at the volume versus the quality, and I thought Canelo was putting in the better quality, cleaner work, but there was just nowhere near enough of it. And like Jon was saying, the jab from Kovalev was getting through at times, and I think the volume of the jabs that were getting through was better than the 3 shots that Canelo was landing cleanly every round, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I personally had Kovalev up 7 rounds to 3 going into the 11th. I can't see how that judge had it 95-95 going into the 11th. That's crazy for me.
But that's what's crazier is that was the sensible judge. He had them a draw. The other judge had it 90.
Both had it 96-94.
96-94.
Yeah.
So they had, and that was in favor of Canelo, wasn't it?
No. Kovalev.
That was in favor of Kovalev?
Yeah.
The 96-94 was in favor of Kovalev.
Yeah, 6-4 Kovalev, 2 judges and 5 each from 1 judge.
Oh, okay. I was mistaken then. I thought that was in favor of Canelo.
I'm pretty sure it was Kovalev. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I had that down as being in favor of Canelo as well.
Yeah. I thought
that's what I've heard reported as well.
That's what I heard reported. We need clarification on that one, because I've been going under the apprehension, the belief that those 2 judges who had it 96-94 for Canelo.
Well, maybe I was wrong.
I don't know.
Shit. I'm just about there. I'll tell you in a minute.
That's cool, because this is important, because like I said, I thought that the 96-94 was in favor of Canelo.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Damn.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's because that's a talking point. That's a serious talking point with me right about now. So the reality of the situation is that Kovalev couldn't win.
That's crazy.
Kovalev could not win in Las Vegas. Pure and simple. He was beating the guy. He was outboxing the guy comprehensively, to the point where I was trying to look for rounds where Canelo won, and it was difficult. Going into the 11th, it was difficult, because even in the rounds where he won, Kovalev was competitive. So the reality of the situation is that Kovalev could not have won. Only by knockout could Kovalev have won. John Dealey.
Yeah. I mean, I I've seen the counter argument,
which
that's
is
and it's a sensible one.
yeah,
That Canelo's pressure and countering, which was preventing Kovalev from putting any mustard on any of his shots.
yeah, I accept
So
that.
so Canelo was the ring general.
Uh,
I don't agree with
no.
it. But the person that,
No.
person who came up with the person that came up with that counter argument, I respect their opinion.
I think I know the guy you respect as well, but I'm not going to mention it.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
But it was a logical argument. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But if that's the argument that you want to go with,
yeah,
and he had Canelo ahead by a round, it wasn't like a big margin.
The same guy we're talking about had Canelo up by a round
At the time of the stoppage, yeah, that's his opinion.
Jeez, Louise. No
But
way.
I think he felt that Kovalev wasn't getting through the guard enough to score.
I think he was getting through the guard. His face where the dark glasses at the end of the post-fight conference tells me that you getting through.
That Kovalev was virtually doing a shutout. Personally, I felt there was every round he was getting through the guard enough.
Yeah.
But what I wasn't happy about was he wasn't doing anything to stop Canelo from coming forward. Yeah. I don't understand why he didn't try and time him onto one of his shots. It seemed like the game plan was to just jab as much as possible and not even heavy jabs.
He didn't seem to be getting. He also didn't seem to be getting low and putting a stiff jab into the breadbasket. He was just tapping the arms most of the time. So, if he had got low and put that stiff jab in the breadbasket, it cuts down the chances of getting countered because he's a much smaller target when he's low. He just wasn't doing it.
That's actually what I was expecting to see Kovalev do.
Yeah.
And that's if you remember my prediction when I said he was going to win.
I remember both of your predictions.
And it was based on Kovalev hitting him hard with the jab.
Yeah.
Chest, particularly the chest. I think I even mentioned how well he did that against Cleverly. He was a much bigger guy.
Hey guys, what happens if you say Candyman 3 times?
The Candyman shall appear.
Don ZB.
What's up, man?
How you doing, my friend? Was it a fix?
I'm good, bro.
Was it a fix?
Nah, no. I just actually searched you and clicked. I don't even know what the topic is. None of that.
That's no problem. That's no problem. Did you watch the fight? Did you watch the Kovalev Canelo fight?
Yes. And
was it a fix? Was it a fix?
Yeah, hold on. Immediately he knocked Kovalev out.
Yeah.
Immediately I said it was a fix. It looked fake.
Right.
I'm telling you, man. Like instinctively.
Yeah. Have you had a change of heart since, or are you convinced it's a fix?
You know what?
Can't hear you.
Dropped out there, bud.
You dropped out there, bud. But Ross Clot is in the building. Ross Clot, if you're available, you know the number. You know the magic number.
I'd like to get Ross Clot on because I know what his view is. I'd be interested.
We got you again, Don.
Hello?
Yeah. Don ZB. I can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. On Canelo's part, Canelo did what he had to do, but the fix looked on Kovalev's part. He seemed not to be throwing punches hard. I don't know if it was the dehydration clause or rehydration clause. Yeah. I don't know, but he was not himself.
I hear that.
I'll tell you one thing I have a concern about. Scale tampering. Try to wring that last bit of water out of Kovalev the day before. Kovalev always makes weight. Always makes weight. So much so he's usually got that big, huge necklace on.
See, at the first weigh-in too, there was a guy standing next to the scales, fiddling with them.
Uh-oh.
When Kovalev was weighing in.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
No.
And if you add that onto the rehydration clause, if you want to say Canelo made sure he had all the odds in his favour, then I'm happy with that because he knew he got the scorecards, so he doesn't have to tire himself out with volume.
Yeah.
He knew that he didn't have the best Kovalev, even just from the rehydration clause.
Why didn't he have the best Kovalev?
Because the rehydration clause is minimum.
Right.
If you want to add on the fact that they might have squeezed that last bit of water out of Kovalev, and I thought he looked very dry for the first couple of rounds before he got sweat.
Very dry.
Then that's just bending the rules beyond me wanting to give him credit for doing something that Sugar Ray Robinson couldn't do.
What couldn't Sugar Ray Robinson do?
Well, he couldn't jump from middleweight to light heavy, could he?
Okay.
He couldn't come out the.
My glove is still red.
Hey, what's up?
My glove is
red.
Oh, I was wondering. My glove is still red. I thought, whoa, am I on some kind of TV quiz?
No. It's just that I've been kind of absent from YouTube for a little while, so it's a little joke.
Oh, I got you, man. I suspected it was you, Brass, because it could also have been an imposter. It could have been an imposter. So that was the question. You know? So
you're right, Red. I haven't spoken to you for ages.
Yeah.
But here's my view. I can kind of understand why some people, I can actually sympathize why some people kind of feel the way that they do. And me, I've been accused of being a Canelo hater.
Okay.
But I've watched the knockout multiple times, and I honestly can't see how it was a fix. I can understand people saying, you know, maybe he fought him at the right time, that Kovalev was ripe for the picking. I can understand those arguments, but to say that it's a fix, I really, me personally, and like I said, I am not a Canelo fan by any means. But if I'm being honest, and I hold my integrity much higher than I hold my disdain for Canelo. If I'm being honest, I can't say that it was a fix.
Right.
You know, so that's just my opinion, you know. And I've heard some compelling argument, or I should say somewhat compelling arguments, like if he couldn't knock out Danny Jacobs and he couldn't knock out Triple G and he couldn't knock out some of these smaller guys, especially Danny Jacobs, who's been knocked down and knocked out by lesser opponents, I can kind of understand that. I just chalk it up to styles make fights, you know, and it, you know, and it is boxing, you know, there is a saying, any given night, you know, that's why we have the odds, you know, the odds for this fight was 4-1, meaning out of every 4 fights, Kovalev should have been able to win 1, you know, so there's a lot of different things to take in account, but me personally, I can't say that it was a fix.
No.
The other thing that no one seems to be really talking about is Canelo has probably been draining himself to make weight at the lower weights. A lot of people believe that Canelo walks around at the same weight and enters the ring at the same weight as a lot of light heavies anyway. So is Canelo stronger at light heavyweight because he's not drained? No one's really talked about that. I've heard one person mention it as a possibility.
Yeah, well,
this is something I'd like to really see more in boxing is guys fighting at their natural weight or close to it, not having to drain down. Then we'll see guys with real power, real stamina, you know, real everything.
Yeah. Well, what I saw was a Canelo who looked very comfortable at the weight. Canelo looked very, very comfortable at the weight, but still, let me backtrack and get back on track. Let me take this down here so I can see who we're talking. Okay, so back on track. Canelo was up on the judges' scorecards. Let's talk about that. Let's go to let's go to big boys boxing because you were surprised.
I just skimmed over when I looked at the scores because I didn't hang around for the post-match, post-fight commentary and the scores and that. So I just skimmed over it on BoxRec and saw 96-94 twice, 95-95, and I thought, oh yeah, okay, 96-94. Kovalev's not bad, but then when you pointed it out, it's the other way round. I was like, how the hell had Canelo won 6 rounds out of 10? When the first 4 or 5 rounds, he hardly threw any punches. I think I gave Kovalev rounds 1 to 4. I think I might have been round 1 to 3. I gave Canelo 4 or 5, one or the other. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then 6 and 8, I think, were the 3 rounds that I gave him.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of closer rounds in there that could have gone either way, but no, I can't see Canelo winning 5 rounds out of the first 10. No way. But I'd love to know what Red and Don think of these scorecards.
Yeah, we're going to Don ZB next. Don ZB. Canelo was up on the scorecards. How many rounds did you give Canelo?
I don't blame the judges at all because Kovalev was not throwing any power shots. He was pity-patting. And Canelo at least was not doing much, but he was throwing strong shots, strong hooks, trying to go to the body. Kovalev was, let me just say, I don't blame them, so I have no quarrel with it.
Say that again, the last part?
I have no issue with the judges' scorecards.
Okay, so Red Glove, who's dropped off? Just as I was going to Red Glove Militant, he dropped off. Okay, so I'll talk about the scorecards. Like Big Boys Boxing, I had it 7-3 going into the 11th round. How the judges could have scored that for Canelo is beyond my comprehension. What I saw was Kovalev outboxing Canelo handily, easily outboxing Canelo. Like I said, I gave Canelo 3 rounds out of 10. So how the judges had Canelo winning, actually beating Kovalev going into the 11th is beyond my comprehension. So here again, we get back to the situation of the belief that you can't beat Canelo in Las Vegas. John D. Lee.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of proven thing now. It was quite a blatant one. I had Kovalev out in front. I was struggling to find anything to give Canelo rounds on.
Yeah.
I felt like what Canelo was doing was enough to stop Canelo going for the knockout, Kovalev going for the knockout, which might have been a bit of a mistake in hindsight.
Yeah.
But if you're going to score punches landed, Canelo was hardly landing at all. Yeah, he was throwing with much better intentions than Kovalev.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Don ZB was happy to give him the rounds that he was, or have him ahead on the cards. Because some people don't want to score someone who's planning for a points win, which is clearly what Kovalev was planning for.
Yeah.
Unless he thought he was going to knock him out in the 11th, but he was a long way off that. But no, I agree with the statement. You can't beat Canelo in Las Vegas unless you knock him out.
Big boys. Sorry?
Well, if you're going to knock Canelo out, you don't want to agree to any form of rehydration clause.
Yeah. Because you won't be optimal. You see, you made a point last week that Kovalev is used to the same day. Well, the next day weigh-in.
Yeah.
But my point is that was like 4 years ago. And
I said I hope it doesn't
Yeah.
affect the result.
yeah, no, I'm just I'm just trying to bring some perspective onto that train of thought or that school of thought. And my position is that even though he used to do it like 4 years ago, it doesn't mean that he's still going to be good at it now in the present day.
Well, the older you get, potentially the harder it is.
Yeah. So
there's no question about that.
Yeah. So my response to that argument is that was 4 years ago, and it doesn't necessarily translate that it's all going to be cool in the gang 4 years later.
The thing is, the IBF have dropped that rule now anyway.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So
there you go.
What I also pointed out was I just don't like the way Canelo does these extra things, because you're only doing it to gain an advantage.
The extra stuff. Big boys boxing. Can Canelo be beaten in Las Vegas?
Only if you knock him out. And I think maybe if it was a factor, Kovalev should have done a Danny Jacobs. Disregard the rehydration clause.
Yeah.
Fight where you're comfortable. And maybe when he had Canelo hurt in the 7th round, he could have chased him down and knocked him out.
Yes. I said that in one of my videos. If I said that Kovalev should disregard. What I said was that Kovalev should just go about his normal rehydration, as he normally does, and let the scales tell whatever story they want to tell. But don't worry about the scales after you've weighed in. Just rehydrate as you normally do. And if you come in on the money, then fine. If you don't come in on the money, then you're going to have to pay a lot of money. But I think Danny Jacobs had the correct approach. He said, well, I negotiated the fee in mind of the excessive fees that I would be asked to pay if I didn't meet the rehydration clause stipulations.
The thing with that rehydration clause, Raphie, sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
Was it wasn't Golovkin putting it in there. It was when the IBF still had the rule.
You mean Canelo?
So what it meant? Yes. Oh, Canelo. Did he do it for Canelo as well as Golovkin?
No.
He did it
No. I thought he was just generally talking about the Canelo's requiring the.
Yeah, I'm just talking about when Danny Jacobs did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was the IBF regulation.
Was there for the IBF.
Yeah.
Right.
So it meant the IBF wasn't on the line.
Oh, that's right.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Can you say that again though? Because.
Okay, so when Danny Jacobs just didn't bother with the same day weigh-in against Golovkin, it was a tactical thing because they thought it would help them win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But Golovkin didn't put it into the contract. The IBF had it as part of their rules.
Oh, I've got you. And when did the IBF dispense with that rule?
I think it was this year.
Okay, yeah, because it's got to be recent. It must be recent.
So the argument against it is safety.
Of course. It's not safe. You need to be rehydrated. If you're not rehydrated, then that you're more prone to brain damage because the fluid around the brain. If you're dehydrated, then you have less fluid around the brain, and that fluid acts as a cushion.
It's easier to get knocked out.
Yeah, Don ZB.
Of course, if a judge could score Mayweather Canelo a draw, then of course you need to knock Canelo out straight up. Kovalev should have known that, and I don't know what he was doing or what he was thinking. There's a photo of him after the fight in his robe in his hotel room, laughing. So I don't know what that's all about. But what we need to be talking about, though, is the clear indication that Canelo is not the face of boxing. Because Canelo, Golden Boy, and the Zone embarrassed boxing this Saturday. I've never seen anything like that. Like you are basically waiting for a Diaz versus a backyard fighters fight to end before the face of boxing fights. Come
Yeah, man.
I think this might be the first time in history. I think this might be the first time in history that we've agreed on something, Don ZB.
Okay. I don't know if you remember when Floyd came back from retirement in 2009 and he wanted to fight Marquez, and everybody were criticizing him, saying he was trying to drag Marquez up 2 weight classes. The UFC had a fight that same day, same time. I don't know if it was in the same place. I don't know if it was in Vegas, but they did. And then Dana White was a lot of crap saying Floyd wasn't a star, but Arum said the same thing, and they went head to head with Floyd. Guess what? Floyd and Marquez did 1.2 million, and the UFC did 350,000. And Dana White came out afterwards and said Floyd kicked their ass. And from that day, whenever Floyd fought, they moved their date or their event.
Yeah.
You know, but Canelo is not the face of boxing. I told you, only hardcore boxing fans and some Mexican fans know him. Besides that, nobody knows Canelo. I could stop somewhere right now and ask 20 people if they know Canelo. Maybe one, maybe none. So
That's a good.
I hope you all agree now. I hope you all agree now that Canelo is not the face of boxing.
Big boys boxing.
Yeah, I agree with that, Don ZB. And to prove it, my brother came over on the weekend for a visit. He's a hardcore sports fan, just sports in general. And I said, "You watching the big fight this afternoon?" He said, "Who's fighting?" I said, "Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev." He said, "Who's Canelo?" There you go.
Well, I've said before. We had the conversation the last time we had a conversation. I said the Canelo. I don't think Canelo's big over here. I know over there he's got a big Mexican following, but over here in Europe, I'm not convinced that Canelo has a particularly big following. I doubt it. I don't think so. John D. Lee.
I don't really know anyone who knows Canelo. I know one guy. I think the basis of Canelo is the fact that in America, the perceived wisdom is that only the Mexicans actually buy pay-per-views, and that there's a huge following for Canelo of casual Mexican boxing fans that buy his pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So he currently does the best numbers, but his numbers have never been close to Floyd's. If you just go from numbers,
yeah,
he's not the star that Floyd is on any level. People that I talk to who don't like boxing still know who Floyd is.
Yeah.
There's no comparison. Also, I think Floyd had more skill and talent anyway, and actually put the hard yards in before he started doing all the A-side diva stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Floyd might have done it towards the end of his career, but, I mean, he was Kovalev's age by the time he was really doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
When he was at lightweight, he was knocking people out for fun. Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, so this Canelo is big with the Mexican crowd, and they are the major supporters of boxing in the USA, as far as I can see.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
You know what? What the Mexicans are good at is they are good at going to boxing events and making a lot of noise. To be honest, everybody disregards the real people that buy pay-per-view. It's black folks in America. Those are the majority that buy pay-per-view. Well, we don't go to events and sing and all of that. We rather just stay home and buy it.
But if that were the case, then surely your boy Deontay Wilder would be bigger.
Okay, he's coming. He's coming through. All Wilder has to do to make a lot of noise, to sell a lot of pay-per-views,
Yeah.
is all you need to do is be a little loud and hang with rappers and show it and just be out there.
But
If he
Canelo
can-
doesn't hang with rappers, though. Canelo doesn't hang with rappers. Canelo.
But Canelo doesn't sell pay-per-view. If you take the two Triple G fight and the Floyd fight out, he never even sold 500. Okay, he might have sold 500 against American. American actually is fairly known here, you know, and he talks a good game. He knows how to convince you he will win.
Who?
American.
Okay.
American, yeah. So he had a little bit to do with that pay-per-view right there. But Canelo, I'll say Canelo is a 300,000 pay-per-view star. Like, that's it. Like, he would sell 250 to 300,000. But if he fights someone that has a name and if it's built right, then yeah, he could do better numbers. But Wilder has had just one pay-per-view.
How come Wilder's only had one pay-per-view?
Because he was with Golden Boy. You forgot?
No, he's been with PB. He's been with PB. Wilder's been with PBC for years.
No, he's been with PBC for a couple years. Since 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, since 2015. But the PBC, they're focused on Floyd.
PBC were focused on Floyd.
Al Heyman was focused on Floyd. He wasn't doing any other pay-per-view if it wasn't Floyd. It was after Floyd retired that he started putting Wilder and Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao. But before that, before the Floyd McGregor fight, he was not trying to put them on pay-per-view. Now, Wilder has the ingredients. All he needs to do is apply himself well. He needs to hang with rappers, do music videos, and I guarantee you his pay-per-view sales would go up real quick. So
if the black folk in America, black Americans are the ones who really are the real ones who buy pay-per-views, who are they buying pay-per-views for? Don ZB.
What do you mean? Who are they buying?
Which fighters? Which fighters are they supporting? You said they're the real ones who buy pay-per-views. Which fighters are they supporting?
Well, since Floyd left, they haven't really supported anybody like that. But they are beginning to support Wilder and Spence. But now.
But Floyd kind of left like about 4 years ago, bro.
No, Floyd left 2 years ago.
All right, so for 2 years, the black Americans, they haven't really been supporting PPVs then.
Exactly. Not yet. If Wilder keeps going the way he's going, you will see it again. And another thing I would like to add is whatever we support, the mainstream gets on it too. They get on that bandwagon. Whatever the hip hop, let me put it like this, whatever the hip hop community supports, everybody else jumps on it. Everybody.
So Wilder's next pay-per-view, that's gonna be interesting then.
I mean, you can't use the Ortiz fight to judge because Ortiz speak no English. Okay? We cannot really use that. Let's see him and Tyson Fury back on. Let's use Wilder Fury to really gauge where Wilder is going towards. Luis Ortiz doesn't speak in English, man.
Okay. I'm going over to Big Boys Boxing now. I'm going to come back to you later. Big Boys Boxing. Can you dissect some of that? Can you pick the bones out of that?
Well, I think the Ortiz versus Wilder pay-per-view numbers will be somewhat relevant, considering, like Don was saying, the Hype Show did 2.5 million views on subscriber-based television being Showtime. So the pay-per-view numbers could be good for that. If that many people are watching the hype show, then there's obviously a decent amount of interest. So yeah, I think the pay-per-view numbers will be a bit relevant to see how much of the, as quoted, Black American community are going to back Deontay Wilder to a degree. But for sure, I think the Tyson Fury numbers will be a lot more relevant. But then there's also going to be the argument that people are going to bring in more Tyson Fury's bringing a lot of those pay-per-views in as well. You know, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens, in my opinion.
Yeah. John D. Lee, can you pick some of the bones out of that?
Yeah. There's a couple of things.
Yeah.
I think Floyd made a point of fighting Mexicans and Latin Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to cover both bases. He had
Yeah.
the Black American pay-per-view market. He had the Latino pay-per-view market. He chose the two Mexican holidays to fight on. So Floyd had all bases covered. He was also much better at marketing himself than anybody else. I don't think anyone can even talk about being as good as Floyd at marketing himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On top of that, Floyd's record when he was Pretty Boy Floyd is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before he was the A side, Floyd did all the hard fights.
Mm-hmm.
He fought the top names, and he beat the old A side. So he had the passing of the torch fight with Oscar to become the A side.
Yeah.
So I think that explains why Floyd's was the A side by so much.
Mm-hmm.
As for who buys pay-per-views in America, I haven't got a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Arum is trying to make Tyson Fury into a pay-per-view star.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to work. All the boxing matches that he has promoted for Tyson Fury have been complete failures. So if he does make Tyson Fury a pay-per-view star, it'll be on the back of him being in the WWE. So
okay.
I don't know how that's going to go. To be frank, I'd like it if Wilder was a pay-per-view star. I think if he was, we'd actually see some of the fights we want to see. So,
right, okay.
I hope Don Zeeby's right.
So, my dissection of that, what Don ZB said about who buys pay-per-views. Well, you know, clearly in the last couple of years that has not been the case because Floyd ain't been around for the last couple of years. I guess we're gonna have to really look at Wilder's numbers. First of all, Ortiz. Then we've got the Fury lineal champion. Fury in February, theoretically in February. As for going back to Canelo versus Kovalev, my view is that clearly you can't beat Canelo in Las Vegas, and that's a problem. The judges having Canelo up on the scorecards, that's a problem. So you can't get a fair decision, it seems, against Canelo in Las Vegas. And the problem is Canelo only fights in Las Vegas. Is that a problem, Don ZB?
Hello. What's the question?
You can't beat. It seems that you can't beat Canelo in Las Vegas unless you knock him out. Is that a problem?
You know what? I don't think so. You know, I don't think Canelo is the first fighter to have that mystique. I think most judges get persuaded by the crowd and they're telling Canelo. And in his defense, his opponents barely ever beat him clearly. You know, besides for the only other opponent that was beating him was Lara. But Lara, all he had to do was do a little bit more to make it. And then he runs like he lands.
Okay, we lost you there. Okay, Don ZB. Don ZB, your signal's really bad, bro. Can't really hear what you're saying at the moment. Your signal is really bad.
I'm let me myself till I get somewhere with better.
Yeah, okay, cool. Do that then. Cool. Big boys boxing. You can't beat you can't beat Canelo in Las Vegas unless you knock him out. Is that a problem?
It's certainly a problem, and it's getting close to being a goddamn fact. You know, I thought I was going to buck the trend this time. I took a bet for Kovalev to win on points. I thought this time it's going to be a step too far. Kovalev's going to keep him outside all night with that stiff jab. And then he pounced out, didn't stiff jab him at all night. He seemed afraid of the speed of the counter, and I lost my money. So it is what it is. But unfortunately, I've still got to technically call Canelo pound for pound number one at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't like saying it, but that's it. It's how it is.
Well, I mean, I would have to say that pound for pound right now, it would be hard to argue against Canelo being number one. How many weight categories has he gone up?
Well, he started at 147 originally, so he's gone up, 147, 154, 160, 168, 175. 5 weight divisions he's gone across.
How many has he's been a champion 4 weight divisions, is that correct?
Yes. If you count the WBA regular.
You can't, well, it's 3 weight, really.
3.
Because there was a higher level champion at the WBA than
I'll go with that.
Rocky Fielding.
Yeah.
I've got counter arguments, Canelo being pound for pound.
Okay.
Ricky Burns is a 3 weight world champion.
Yeah.
So is Adrian Broner. In this day and age, with the proliferation of belts, undisputed,
that's a good point.
Undisputed is a much bigger achievement than multi-weight championships. So I've still got Crawford because not only has he been undisputed, he's then moved up a weight and won another championship.
Undisputed needs to be calibrated in the equation. That is a very good counter. With the proliferation of the belts, it's easier to.
At the end of the day, Canelo's just matched Ricky Burns. So on that basis, I'm not having it.
Burns part 2. So with the proliferation of the belts, it has now become easier, big boys boxing, to attain multiple belts at different weight categories, and undisputed is a greater achievement. Big boys boxing, what say you?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a valid argument. But also, if you're going to put in those considerations, you've got to consider that undisputed is unobtainable in 2 weight divisions now as well.
One at a time.
I'm hoping the WBC madness is going to end. but currently it is,
Okay. To answer your question, I was saying nobody has beat Canelo clear except Floyd. So I can't really blame him. Everybody that is so-called robbed, maybe they were beating him, but it wasn't clearly. Like did not beat him clearly, so you can't blame him. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I hear that. So undisputed. What was the point? Who just made the point about undisputed being unachievable?
Big boys.
What did you say, big boy? Say it again, please.
I think it should be taken into consideration that undisputed is unobtainable in 2 weight divisions now, thanks to the WBC. So, you know, Canelo could have tried to be undisputed at 160, but he was given this franchise champion tag, so he can go and do whatever he wants, but he can never be undisputed.
Because he's a franchise champion.
I think Canelo could be undisputed, to be fair. If you look at the inconsistency of the rules, I'm sure the WBC would find a way around that to enable him to be undisputed.
Well, Mauricio Solomon himself did say that, you know, Lomachenko can be undisputed because the franchise champion is a champion's belt. And my argument to that is, if you can't lose it in the ring, then you're not a champion. So
I agree with what you're saying there. I think what they would do is find a way around it. So,
well, he also said that Loma could fight Devin Haney as well. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the point of that fight if Lomachenko can't hold the WBC's coveted title? If he can hold it, then why did they take it off him in the first place? So it's too confusing. It should be gone.
Hold on. So
I heard that question of Mauricio.
Can a franchise champion also hold the regular belt?
There's a lot of confusion on this topic. I've heard so many different statements made on it. A lot of them coming from Mauricio. I don't think Mauricio knows. Yeah. I've heard a statement that if Devin Haney fights Lomachenko, he will have to give up the WBC title.
On what basis?
Devin Haney will have to.
Yeah, but
nobody seems to understand it, Raphie.
This is mad.
Yeah, I think he'd have to give up that title, but Loma can't have it. It'll get gifted to the next guy in line, like it did the last time.
But that doesn't make any sense either, because if Devin Haney fights Lomachenko, he can't become the franchise champion because Loma can't lose the franchise status in the ring.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
hashtag WBC boycott 2020.
Clearly.
Well, that's all fine, but I actually think Mauricio doesn't know the answer to these questions.
Yeah.
No.
And so I think when it all comes out in the wash, there's 2 things. I think they've created these 2 championships for 2 different reasons, for 2 different fighters specifically. So I think part of it was so that Canelo could fight Kovalev without dropping a sanctioning fee to the WBC. And I think the one for Lomachenko is because Hearn has controlled Lomachenko's last 2 mandatories, and he controls Devin Haney as well. So Bob Arum's petitioned for it so that he doesn't have to go up against Eddie Hearn in another purse bid.
Which he'd lose. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think because of those 2 reasons of why it's been done, I think if the same people that Mauricio favours petition him to let them fight for the normal WBC belt, because they don't stick with their own rules and they're so inconsistent, they'll find a way to make it happen.
So, I listened to a Mauricio Suleiman interview today, and he said that to be a franchise champion, you have to petition for it. So if that is true, then that means we already know that Bob Arum petitioned the WBC
to get
Lomachenko as a franchise champion. We know that. But it also means, if what Suleiman said is true, it also means that Team Canelo petitioned to become franchise. So
I like the word. I like the use of the word "if" there, Raphie.
Well, it's a big if. It's a big if. So if that is true, and yeah, if that is true, I'll leave it as that. If that is true, then Team Canelo, or the influencers within Team Canelo, or those who have the power to do so, they also petition to be franchise champions. So in a sense, we're all blaming the WBC, and they deserve some of the blame because they created the damn thing. But we also some of the blame also has to go to the teams themselves, Team Canelo and Team Lomachenko. Don ZB, did you want to come in? Okay.
Hello.
We can't hear you. Okay, yeah. Carry on.
Okay. I said there is no.
Yeah. Can't hear you, Don. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, my friend. Can't hear you. Cannot hear you. Can't hear you, Don. Can't hear you. Cannot hear you, Don ZB. Okay, so I think that we've talked about Big Boys Boxing. Yeah, okay. Big Boys Boxing is back. I think okay, so it's time for final thoughts on the the Kovalev v Canelo fight. So I think I'm gonna start with John D. Lee. Final thoughts on all things Kovalev Canelo.
I don't think it was fixed in the sense that Kovalev took a dive. I think putting a rehydration clause in there when there was no need to takes a lot of the shine off it.
Yeah.
And the scorecards. Obviously, I can't prove that their scales were rigged. But the fact that happened doesn't help.
Yeah.
So it just takes the shine off it, because when they announced it, I thought, great, Canelo's trying to actually do something.
Yeah.
He's not messing around with catch weights. He's not doing this. And the fact that they kept the rehydration clause so quiet as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't give Canelo number one pound for pound on the back of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he won the fight, and I think he won the fight. But beyond that, I haven't got anything else to say.
Well, the fact that he won the fight, but if he didn't win the fight, he would have still won the fight. That's a factor to me. The fact that Canelo...
Well, I think it helps his game plan. So that's why I'm saying the rehydration clause and the cards take a huge amount off it for me. Yeah. And that's why he's not my number one pound for pound.
I hear you. But what I'm adding to that is that the fact that Canelo won the fight, but if he didn't win the fight, the judges' card tell us that he would have won the fight even if he didn't win the fight. Is that not a factor also?
Yeah, but so my thoughts on that means that Canelo can pace himself.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to worry about volume. So that gives Canelo another advantage because he's got more left in the tank at the end of the fight.
And he knows that he can just come with a blitz late in the fight.
Yeah, he can save himself.
He's already ahead in the scorecard.
So not only has he drained him, but he knows he can wait till that takes effect before he opens up. So that's actually what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I'm gonna add on to that. I think Canelo is one of the best fighters out there. However, with all the stipulations, all the ifs and buts, and with the notion, which seems to be validated by the judges' scorecards, that Canelo was clearly behind in the fight, greatly behind in the fight, by any measure, by any judging criteria. He was clearly behind in the fight, unambiguously behind in the fight, but the judges had him ahead going into the 11th. So that means that the only way you can beat Canelo, even if you win 75%, winning 75% of the rounds versus Canelo in Las Vegas, don't count for diddly. You're still losing. Big boys boxing.
Yeah. You know, it was the same before this fight and the same after. I mean, I really do think Canelo is one of the best fighters out there, but it's hard to get behind him and support him when on almost every fight he's had, there's something that he's tried to work to his advantage. It puts an asterisk next to all of his fights.
It does. I'm sorry. It does. It does. The
asterisk
is there. The asterisk is there. Listen, we want to support great fighters. We think Canelo is a great fighter, but it's all the extra shizzle. It's the clauses. It's the fact that you got to read a contract. You got to read a contract to find out what rules are in place every time you fight the dude. You can't just rock up and fight the dude. You gotta flick through a contract. You gotta flick through the contract of clauses when you fight the dude. You can't just rock up and fight the dude. And then the fact that you can win 75% of the rounds and still lose to the guy. The fact that Kovalev, by most measures, won 75% of the rounds. And if it had continued and gone to round 12 and got to the end of round 12, if the final bell rang, winning 75% of the rounds isn't good enough, well, I'm sorry. But that is an issue, and that big boys boxing is an asterisk.
Yep. The unfortunate truth of it is people who want to fight Canelo and make tens of millions of dollars are going to have to sign the smelly end of the toilet brush to get in the ring with him. That's it.
They're going to have to brush their teeth with it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's a huge PR disaster.
How so?
Well, on paper, he's done something Sugar Ray Robinson couldn't do. And we're sitting here talking about scorecards and rehydration clauses instead of giving someone a huge amount of credit.
Yeah.
And what if he'd have won anyway? What if there's so let's say there was no rehydration clause, and Kovalev was ahead on the cards, and Canelo did what he did.
Then we wouldn't be arguing about anything.
Exactly. That's why it's
full credit.
Then he gets full credit. Then he gets full credit.
That's why it's a huge PR disaster, because there's nothing to say that Canelo wouldn't have won in that fashion without him doing all these things. But because he has done it, and he's done it time and time and time again, potentially when he didn't need to, he's only got a sort of devoted bunch of fans that are called canelitas, which I don't know what it means in Spanish, but I think it's a slightly derogatory term of people that follow him. And he'll never be a crossover star. And I think it's going to hurt DAZN's pocket, to be honest, giving him all this money.
Okay. So, what if... Do we want Canelo just to fight people without without all the extra shizzle?
Yes.
If he was to beat BTBF, with nothing,
without the extra shizzle.
Well, if he was to beat him with the extra shizzle, I think that would be a challenge. But I'm not really sure what BTBF goes into the weight as. into the ring as.
I think he looks chunky to me. He looks.
Yeah, but he's super ripped, Raphie, and you must know when you're ripped, it makes you look bigger than you are.
That's true.
So, without standing next to him and really seeing him, because he's only 5'11", isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not that tall.
Yeah.
It's not like Callum Smith, who's 6'3". Now that's a different thing. Getting down to 168 at 6'3".
Yeah.
I mean, he might rehydrate a lot. I just don't know.
Okay, so.
But if he did that, then
yeah. So what? I'm going to make a statement. Here. We just want to see Canelo. I mean, agree or disagree. We just want to see Canelo fight without the extra sizzle.
Yep.
That's what we want. Big boys boxing.
Yeah.
I've looked up Canelita, and it means newspaper vendor or newsboy.
Newsboy. There's worse things. I had a newspaper around. Why the disrespect in newspaper boys? Why the dissing some of the hardest working people in the community, the newspaper boys?
Yeah, got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. I used to cut grass too. I was an industrious young lad, so I was. Okay, we just want to see Canelo fight without the extra sizzle. Does that make you a hater, big boys boxing?
Oh, some people will say, yeah, that makes me a hater. Of course, but that's the truth of it for me. If he wants to be considered a true heavyweight, light heavyweight champion, then he's going to have to fight a true light heavyweight as a true light heavyweight, not as a weight drained light heavyweight. Simple as that. I'm sick of the asterisks.
I'm sick and tired of having to read a damn contract before you fight the guy.
Yeah.
Sick and tired.
Just stick to the rules of boxing. Don't put your own rules in there.
Yeah. Forget about, listen, you'll get your full credit when you cut out the opponents having to read an encyclopedia to find out what rules they have to abide by to fight you. I'm exaggerating, but it's just to make the point. Canelo will get his full credit. Cannot get full credit with the asterisks, with the limitations, with the restrictions. And John Dealey, he can't get full credit with the limitations and the restrictions that you have to sign for when you sign to fight Canelo.
I must have put about 20 comments like that on various different YouTube pages over the last 2 days. As soon as I found out about the rehydration clause.
How did you find out about the rehydration clause?
A few people dropped it at the same time you did. You dropped one pretty fast.
I dropped it fast.
It might have been yours.
It might have been mine.
I listened to about 3 and then I went to go and double check what Dan Raphael had said as well.
Yeah.
So as soon as I found out about that, I was just like, that's just cancelled the fight for me.
Yeah, that was shocking. I was shocked. That's why I posted up so quick. I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
I was just like, I've got into this thinking, all right, Kovalev's past his best, and they might think he's right for the taking.
Yeah,
but that's always been part of boxing.
It has.
It's called passing the torch.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of all right with that. But then when you put other things in there, like Canelo's very good at making the weight, but he's been done for clenbuterol.
Right.
He fights in Las Vegas, which I haven't got any proof of anyone using illegal IVs.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo's getting away with an illegal IV when he's got the other guy dropping an extra 10, doing the rehydration the next day.
Yeah.
Because Canelo is...
Too many asterisks. It's that simple.
There's so many now that I'm not sure of it. It's ever going to really whatever he does now, I'm not sure it's even going to overcome it. And he's a talented fighter. And all of this A-side stuff is what kills boxing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. We're objective people, and we're looking at this topic objectively. And there's too many asterisks, my friend. Too many asterisks, my friends. Do I believe that Canelo is a great boxer? One word answer: Big Boys Boxing.
Yes.
One word answer: John Daly.
He's certainly. Oh, you fail. No. No.
Okay. The majority decision, the majority vote is that Canelo is a special. Can we compromise and say special?
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to say very good.
Well, I'm just gonna take it up one notch and say special. That's just one notch on the belt. One notch.
Well, it's one word, Raphie. Anyway.
Yeah. He's a special talent. He's a special talent. I think we can kind of agree on that. But he's a special talent. But the asterisk is, my friend, the asterisk still exists, and we can't skirt over that. We can't skirt around that. The asterisk still exists. I think, but I think everybody on the panel agrees that we want to see Canelo fight without Canelo rules. Just fight according to the rules of the Marquis de Queensbury. How do you pronounce that word? Marquis. It's pronounced Marquis of Queensbury. Just do that. No extra shizzle. Canelo. Just fight according to the rules of the Marquis of Queensbury. Just do that. No extra shizzle. And
they're trying to claim these achievements the same as Henry Armstrong. And it's just like so far away.
It's so far away. It's laughable. It's not even worth discussing. That's utterly ridiculous, preposterous, outlandish, and morally unacceptable. Okay, so I think we chopped that up thoroughly. It's like diced onions. And the last topic, I think it's the last topic. Let me go over to the YouTube. Smash that like button, folks. Let me look at the description box. Took a long time to get it in the description box. Okay. Martin Bakole. It's not the last subject. We just touch on these then. We just touch on because there's a big last one. I'm trying to keep these shows down as concise as possible. Martin Bakole, did you see the fight, John Daly?
Yeah, I've seen the fight.
Yeah.
He did well. I'm happy with what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see a better level of opposition before I get too excited.
Oh, yeah.
But I like seeing people work their way up properly as well.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that, he's had his loss early, so he hasn't got a no to protect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
that's the time.
I've said all the good things about Floyd, but that's the one thing I don't like about Floyd is all this obsession about the O that he's sort of passed on to the next generation of boxers.
Yeah, he has passed that on.
Yeah. So yeah.
Bakole isn't under that yoke.
He's not. It was a good win. I'd like to see him fight Dubois, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon, to be honest.
Dubois. He doesn't need Dubois. I'm his promoter. I'm his manager. I say forget Dubois. Forget that lad. He's dangerous.
He's supposed to have had the better of him in sparring, Raphie.
Yeah, so had Gorman. Look what happened there.
No.
Look what happened there.
No, there's a significant difference here.
Yeah, which is?
Yeah.
Which is what?
Gorman said he had the better of. Gorman is the one that put that out there. Martin has been asked about it, and he's refused to comment.
Okay, that is quite significant. Big.
So he's not putting it about.
Yeah. Big Boys Boxing. Did you see that fight, Martin Bakole?
I sure did. Versus Rodney Hernandez.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Thank you for that.
Yeah, Rodney Hernandez has 9 losses on his record, but he had only been stopped once prior to this fight, and that was by Efer Jugba in the 5th round. So Martin Bakole's done a good job of getting rid of him that early, particularly after the onslaught that was launched on him in the 1st round.
Yeah.
It was good to see Bakole showing some decent defense and still getting a few shots in. And I think maybe Hernandez had the right idea, just not the right technique and power that goes with it.
Yeah, indeed. And Hernandez came out like a whirlwind, tried to put it on Bakole. Bakole offered resistance and came out in the 2nd round and did what he had to do, and that's all she wrote. Put a stop to. Carry on.
I really did like it from Bakole that he wasn't putting mustard on every shot. He was trying to open up Hernandez with probing shots and picking where he puts the full power shots in there. That was really good to see. So he's coming along and maturing nicely.
Yeah, clever work from Bakole. We are happy and satisfied with his effort. Is there something else I want to touch on real quick before we go to the last major topic, which we got about 20 minutes to deal with? No.
Don't forget with Bakole too, it was only 2 weeks ago he stopped Kevin Johnson, who not many people do.
2 weeks ago. Barely anybody stopped. The only person who stopped Johnson before that, I believe, from memory, was Anthony Joshua.
Correct.
There's a cut stoppage on there as well.
Is that
the only? Yeah, but
he was
on his feet. He was on his feet though.
He was on his feet.
Yeah. Peter Milas stopped him, but it was cuts.
Oh, Peter Milas stopped him. Okay, that was by cut. So technical decision. Okay, and I just want to see if there was anything in particular that I want to touch on. Okay. No, we're going straight to the last topic. We got about 20 minutes to chop and dice this up, trying to keep things nice and tight and precise. Okay, so Mauricio Suleiman raises his head in this discussion once again. Mauricio Suleiman came out last night in a boxing social interview and informed the world that Dillian Whyte was no longer the mandatory, certainly no longer the mandatory for 2020. Well, from this day till the whole of 2020, Dillian Whyte is no longer the WBC mandatory. That honor goes to the one, Tyson Luke Fury. Now, this is a most peculiar decision to the naked eye because Tyson Fury is already scheduled to fight Deontay Wilder on February 22nd, 2020. So why would the WBC, see fit to make Tyson Fury the mandatory to Deontay Wilder when he's already contractually obliged to meet him in February 2020? And with that, I go over to Big Boys Boxing.
Well, I've got a few theories on what's behind this. When was it? Was it last week or the week before Dillian Whyte was told he could become the mandatory again for a fight in February 2021?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a bit interesting to pick February out of the blue for no particular reason. So for me, they already knew at that stage that they were going to put Tyson Fury as mandatory for the upcoming potential fight in February.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think they have done that is because they want to have power over Tyson Fury so he cannot pull out of the fight. If he does pull out of the fight as a mandatory, then he can get scrapped. They've got grounds to throw him right out of the rankings and get rid of him.
So it's to pin him in.
It's to pin him in. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I don't think they've taken into account is if he's a mandatory challenger, Deontay Wilder has no chance of having a rematch clause.
Yeah, that's right. That I was going to come to that. That is an interesting wrinkle. That is very interesting. So the winner walks away. The winner is free to walk away.
But also, once again, it's a mandatory position for the WBC that has been gifted for no reason. I mean, the last person that Tyson Fury fought in the current WBC rankings is Derek Chisora years ago. So how can they justify making him mandatory?
It's unacceptable. It's I don't think it's constitutional. It doesn't seem to fit in with their rules. He hasn't. Who has he beat in the W? Who has Tyson Fury beat? Who's in the WBC rankings to merit him being adjudged or anointed as a mandatory? He has not beat anybody, as you just said, Big Boys Boxing, in the WBC rankings to merit him being a mandatory. John Dealey.
Well, he is, despite him not fighting anyone, isn't he number 2 in their rankings currently?
He is, but shouldn't the number 2 have to fight the next available opponent for the mandatory position?
Right.
I'm not justified in being picked as a mandatory.
Yeah.
I think someone needs to explain to Mauricio what mandated means.
Yeah.
They've already signed to do this fight, so you can't mandate something that's already agreed and happened.
So
they can sanction the fight. They can sanction it, but they actually can't mandate it in terms of the word. Mauricio just keeps coming up with them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling that actually the fight won't happen now. Last time he mandated it, it didn't happen. And unfortunately, big boys, they didn't put any sort of punishment on Tyson for not following through with a mandated fight. In fact, they've promoted him up the rankings ever since.
His punishment was promotion.
Yeah. Well, see, the last time he was ordered to fight Wilder, he just flat out declined the fight, and they can't do anything if he declines it. But because he's already contracted in the fight this time, if he pulls out, then they can turn around and say, well, you've already signed for the fight. You're mandatory. If you don't accept it, you're getting dropped from the rankings.
What's the small print on that, though? Because he's mandated to fight me in February?
Well, they haven't actually made him.
Because if he says he's injured, which is what I think Tyson's going to use as a reason to get out of the fight, then I don't think
say. The only way out is illness or injury.
And I think he's going to have a few more WWE matches that could allow for that to happen.
Please, open my cut. Open my cut.
Well, he could get a new one, big boys. You know, he could hurt his back. He could hurt his leg, all sorts.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's already got a contract to fight Deontay Wilder. So there's a contract in place. Now, I think that one of the motivational factors behind this is so that Deontay Wilder, the WBC, can turn around and say, well, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder fought a mandatory in 2019, and he also, and after, if Tyson Fury does go through with it, he also fought a mandatory in 2020. So all this talk that Deontay Wilder only fights a mandatory every 2 or 2.5 years is totally untrue.
Yeah, and I can see they're trying to validate Deontay Wilder a bit more before they potentially make him franchise champion.
Yep.
So Dillian White don't get a shot whatsoever.
Don't get a shot whatsoever, because it seems to me that this thing is just it's like it's staged. This thing's staged now. So Deontay Wilder, he had a mandatory in 2019, fought him. He had a mandatory in 2020, fought him. So 2021 comes around, they have latitude. So they can say, well, because Deontay Wilder fought 2 mandatories in 2 years. We think he's done a marvelous job representing the WBC, and so we're going to push because he has this big opportunity with Fighter X. We're going to push back the his mandatory obligation to Dillian White till at least December the 29th of 2021. On December the 29th of 2021, we will take a look at the Dillian White situation and see where we stand there. So it seems like they're moving heaven and earth to stop Dillian White getting in the same squared circle as Deontay Wilder. What say you, big boys boxing?
There's also holes if they start spouting about mandatories being fought, because none of the mandatories he has fought have been legitimate mandatories.
Damn. Damn.
So I wouldn't be using that for ammo if I was Shirley Winkle.
John D. Lee.
I'm not sure Mauricio's worried about what people are going to say.
Yeah,
I do think that they're going to do everything they can to stop Dillian White getting in the ring with him.
Why?
I think you know what I think on that one.
No, I want to hear it, because I know that my opinion is that they're shook of Dillian White. They are shook.
I think Dillian's all wrong for Wilder. Wilder's susceptible to the left hook. If you watch the Drew Haupas fight, the 2 things that Drew Haupas did well was land the left hand on Wilder and shut his eye, close the distance, and got in on him on his chest.
Yeah.
So Wilder couldn't really get his power shots off, and that's why Drew Haupas was stopped on his feet and didn't even ever look like going down. He was losing, and there wasn't really any point carrying on with the fight, but he could have gone 12. So if Dillian can fight like that, but Dillian could knock him out.
Yeah. Could it really be? Could it really be that a prime motivational factor here is that the WBC, the PBC, Deontay Wilder are shook of Dillian White, big boys boxing? Could it really be that? Because that's what it looks like.
It could, but I've got a funny feeling it's something to do with trying to keep Matchroom out of the heavyweight division with regard to the WBC as well. But, you know, you could go back to Deontay Wilder's comment. Man, I don't have to fight Eddie's little black spare tire.
Oh, dear.
Hey.
Black spare tire.
That's what he called him.
Yeah.
So, man, is he scared, or does he just not want to give Matchroom a payday? I don't know, but it could be a combination of lots of things. It just seems like they really don't want to fight Dillian.
Wilder's not giving anybody a payday. Matchroom were giving Wilder a payday. They offered him £8 million.
Well, that's right.
If that's not shook, I don't know what is.
Well,
that's double what he got for fighting Fury.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look at a deeper and a greater and a bigger picture, but all roads come back to they're shook. Listen, if I don't like you, I'm still going to fight you for $8 million. If I don't like your manager or your promoter, I'm still going to fight you for $8 million.
I think if they're not shook, Deontay might not be shook of him.
Okay.
Because he's a fighter.
Yeah.
But I think the team around him know that Deontay's punch resistance isn't very good. And his defense isn't very good.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And the way that you beat Wilder is getting in on his chest, closing the distance, because he cannot land that right hand. Last time we spoke about this, I talked about how much skill he had in landing the right hand, but he's got to be at distance to do it.
Yeah, and needs plenty of room.
Yeah, so if your inside is His preferred range. If you're in the pocket with Wilder and you've got an excellent left hook, something that he doesn't defend well against,
Wilder's in trouble.
I think he's just going down.
Wilder's going down.
And I don't fancy Wilder taking body shots well either.
No, I think Dillian could fold him up. I think because we're going to close this thing out now. So shook or not shook? John Dealey, shook or not shook?
Shook.
Okay. Big Boys Boxing, shook or not shook?
He's scared, man. He's scared. That's why he won't fight him.
I always look for a deeper meaning. I try to look for a deeper meaning in things, but sometimes the meaning is just blatantly there in your face. I find it hard to believe. I find it difficult to believe, but then it's so blatant. It's so blatant. I look for different meanings, different ways, but you could say, well, they don't like Eddie Hearn, but you're still going to take one of the biggest purses you've ever had, if not the biggest purse. They say they don't like Dillian, but you're still going to take the biggest purse you've ever had. One of the biggest purses, if not the biggest purse. Every excuse they could possibly come up with, it doesn't wash. But the one excuse or the one reason that seems legitimate throughout all of this is that, to me, they are damn well shook of Dillian Whyte. They are shook of Dillian Whyte. It seems ridiculous and it seems preposterous in a sense, but in another sense, it's just the answer which seems the most logical. How the hell are you not going to fight the guy who could give you one of the biggest purses, if not the biggest purse that you have ever had? How the hell are you going to decline that if you're not shook? The only way you decline that is if you're shook of something. You're shook of something.
I think I've got the answer to this, Raphie.
What's the answer?
Well, I think it's your theory.
Which is what?
Deontay Wilder has never fought a prime fighter with a decent punch.
Yeah. I mean, that's the answer I keep on. Sometimes it's so simple you think, hold on, could it be that simple? But sometimes things are that simple.
And we've seen him do the skanky leg to Romanov, who was effectively a cruiserweight in the amateurs.
We've seen him do the skanky leg to a Russian cop.
At
a Russian cop.
200 pounds or what's amateur heavyweight? Is it 200 flat or is it 205 or something?
It's there or thereabouts.
It's 95 kg, whatever that is.
Yeah. We've seen him get knocked out by a Russian cop. For goodness sake.
Cruiserweight.
Yeah. For goodness sakes. Listen, I've tried to think of every possible angle, and it keeps on coming back to Team Wilder. Yeah, it keeps on coming back to that. I tried to think of every possible angle, but there is no possible explanation for turning down one of your biggest purses, if not the biggest purse. Because I don't believe that 10 million for Breezel. Sorry. And Wilder, they got the guarantee and a little bit more. So the best case scenario there to me is like, what, 4 plus 2.5? What's that? 6.5 region at best. So Dillian Whyte, I believe, would be Deontay Wilder's biggest purse to date. And if not the biggest purse, certainly there or thereabouts. They are shook. The WBC want the WBC belt to remain with PBC for whatever reason, or certainly in America. And mate, any which way I look at it, all I can see keeps on coming back to the one answer. They are shook of Dillian Whyte and they want no part of him. They fight Tyson every Sunday, but Dillian Whyte, no. And ladies and gentlemen, I've managed to keep this thing sharp and precise and concise. We're still after midnight over here in the UK. So that's late enough. No more crazy hours. We can get everything in. And do it well. And thank you goes out to John Daly, in-house talent. Thank you, John Daly. And thank you goes out to Big Boys Boxing. This guy's on channel. He's been kind enough to come over here. Much appreciation for that. And thank you goes out to everyone in the chat. Smash that like button before you leave if you enjoyed the content. Final words, John Daly. On anything.
I know, I'm just trying to keep them short. Let's keep the shows like this, Raphie. I like this concise format.
Yeah. Nice and concise.
It's working well. It's working well.
Time for the extra shizzle, unlike Canelo.
Oh dear, yeah. I'll keep it concise. Good show.
Yeah. Nice. Big Boys Boxing. Final words.
Yeah, well, it's been a great show today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. I am hoping and dreaming possibly. I hope UK come out in the next couple of weeks and give us an answer about Dillian White. Hopefully he's clear, and then Mauricio Solomon and the WBC are going to look like freaking idiots.
Absolute freaking imbeciles and nincompoops. They are a disgrace. They are a disgrace to the sport. The WBC's actions are disgraceful. They will go down in the annals of boxing history. This period will go down in the annals of boxing history as a very, very rough time. I hope they get indicted. I hope somebody's got some secret. I hope somebody records a telephone call and Jose, or what's his name, Mauricio Suleiman, gets indicted, and his whole organization have to start acting in a legally sound, morally sound, professional way. This has been Boxing Talk with Raphie, episode 63. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. It's Boxing Talk with Raphie. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like. It's the subscribe. It's the comment. It's the shares. And it is that hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And final word from me is good night. Blessed.